Manitoba is set to release its plan today for reopening non-essential businesses, and we'll get more on that over the course of the morning. We're also, though, getting our first look at really the national strategy for a return to normal life. Ottawa and the provinces released a roadmap yesterday for the challenging weeks and months ahead, and Michael Serapio has been looking at the agreement the First Ministers have struck. Michael, good morning.
Good morning, Heather. And when you look at what was released yesterday by the First Ministers, it is very clear that everyone agrees that however a territory or a province restarts the economy, it's going to be a gradual approach. And when it comes to the issue of when people can actually get back to work, those that have been essentially furloughed or told to stay at home and kids get to go back to school, well, it's going to be different in different parts of the country. And that's because this shared public health approach, as it is described, acknowledges that provincial and territorial governments will work at their own pace. But there are common criteria that all governments agree must be met before economies can be restarted. Let's take a look at them right now. And it begins with the healthcare system and this idea that COVID-19 transmissions have to be at a level where it does not overwhelm the healthcare system. Also, sufficient capacity, they say, has to be in place, and this is to test, trace, isolate, and control the spread of the virus. Assurances be given that expanded healthcare capacity exists to support both patients who either have COVID-19 or don't have COVID-19. Supports, they say, also need to be in place for the vulnerable, and that includes senior citizens, Indigenous people, and the homeless. Support and monitoring of workplace protocols are also, they say, have to be in place to keep Canadians safe at their jobs. Another criteria, restrictions of non-essential travel are eased and managed in a coordinated and controlled manner is also a principle here. And communities need to also be able to be supported in managing any type of local disease activity or spread. And to all of that, take a listen to the Prime Minister and what he had to say about it yesterday.
Let me be clear. These are not the specific measures when you can go back to work or school or when you can see your neighbors or extended family or friends. This framework will lay out the things that need to happen before we take any next steps. Restarting our economy will be gradual and careful and will be guided by science.
And once again, this idea that all the decisions here, any rollout of a restart of economy guided by science and evidence-based thinking, something that we know from the poll that was released earlier this week, Heather, that Canadians actually support.
Michael, so those are the shared principles, but we've been getting more details from the individual provinces. I mean, we were just looking at Quebec's plan, talking about that, but others as well. So what are we hearing at the provincial level? Well,
let's begin in Prince Edward Island because they unveiled yesterday their plan to essentially restart the island economy. And they say that it's going to be a 4-phase plan. It will start Friday with limited outdoor gatherings of no more than 5 people. Some outdoor construction will also get back on stream. Non-urgent healthcare services will come back as well, starting Friday, with additional easing that's slated for May the 22nd, and that also does include the reopening of childcare centres. Now, as for Alberta, no hard details yet, but we did hear from Premier Jason Kenney. He says social distancing is working, so look for details this week as he expects the economy will begin some sort of restart in the month of May. And in British Columbia, you'll recall that on Monday, Dr. Bonnie Henry said that she expects more students will be back in school before the academic year is out. Right now, only kids of essential workers, less than 1% of normal class sizes, are actually getting in-class instruction. And yesterday, the BC Education Minister says they are looking for plans to get more students in schools in the coming weeks, again, ahead of the end of the academic year. And, I'll end here with Manitoba because that's where you began our discussion, Heather. We are also keeping a close eye on them today because we're going to see their rollout plan as the hours progress.